We can do this. We can do this. You ready?
Yeah.
You don't look ready.
I look back. So, to derail this again before we start, I looked back at the footage of the intros and outro that I recorded yesterday. Well happy with it when I recorded it. Look back, my eyes are like... I've not redone them because they're good enough. But I'm like, oh, I look tired.
Okay, I might need to look at these.
Yeah. I mean, I don't look... They're good. It's just like from here up, I look dead.
That's fine.
Okay.
You ain't changing that.
Okay. Hey guys, and welcome to episode 33 of...
You've got to carry on. This is just part and parcel of doing this show.
Welcome to episode 33 of Dad... No, do you know what it is? I'm looking at a note that I've made for the title of the show.
Yeah.
And so originally I was going to call it Startup Diary because that's another show we do. And that's wrong because 33 and Startup Diary rhyme. So I was going to do that and I was like, that's completely wrong. And then I looked back to reattempt the title. And because the topic of the show is Dad Bod, it's like 1/3 of the title. It's Dad. And then I read Bod instead of nose. And then I'm like really confused.
Everyone listening to this is confused right now.
So
what's the name of this podcast?
The name of this show, if I Google it, is Dad Knows Best. Dad's on the mics, talking about life, talking about kids, talking about everything that's wearing me down on a daily basis. There's more energy than this normally. Just really tired.
This is life, man.
But let's just dive into today's topic, Adam, because I think we
already spot what it's about.
Yeah.
There's no surprises.
Yeah, so topic of discussion for today is health, dad bod, just life in general, physically. Perfectly apt for the show is you're currently suffering from the plague is the only way I can describe it.
You know me though, like this is what happens.
A clean bill of health at the best of times.
No, you know, like this is just like generally standard for me.
And how did you explain to the lovely listeners or viewers if you're watching on YouTube? Subscribe.
Bell. We're not doing this.
Reel the calls to action. Yeah, explain how you got this cold. So we've been away for work in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
The coldest place on earth.
-7, which is balmy over there at this time of year because I was there last year and it was like -15 Celsius. So how did you get this cold? It was like day 2, day 3 you got it?
Yeah. Here's the problem. At the start of this year, I actually started to try to look at like having a, as you put, a good bill of health.
Mm-hmm.
I actually started to like use some apps and track my water and all this good stuff. You know, the whole New Year, New Me. You know, I love like a New Year resolution. Like,
you love a good app as well.
I love a good app. I love a New Year's resolution.
I want to log it. I want to track it. I want to scan it.
I've got like...
If I can't log it in an app, it don't exist.
Exactly. If I can't track it and measure it, I don't care about it.
Because heaven forbid you just drink more water actively.
No interest. No, literally no.
If I have no digital way of measuring this.
Yeah, like if you don't track it, I don't know. I can't look back and go, yeah, I've probably...
But... Is it there? So there's a water bottle behind you. Just grab that. This is from yesterday. This is mine.
Where's your new water bottle?
It's at home because that's my gym bottle, which is probably going to be gathering dust, as we'll talk about in a bit. So this is my office bottle now.
Oh, I thought the one you bought was going to be your office bottle.
No. Oh. This is my office bottle because... So the thing about these, ladies and gentlemen, is they're great. For anyone that's listening, these are those 2.2 litre bottles that look like they should be on a water cooler.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're all fine and well and they're great, but they're actually surprisingly fragile.
Yeah. Because
when they're full, they've got like 2 kilos of water in it, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But the plastic's like just fairly flexible.
Where'd you buy it from?
So this one was yours, which you'd never use, so you donated to me, which I appreciate. But I've had like 5 of them.
That one's
because this one's lasted a long time, so because I've looked after it. But
no, it's probably because I buy like anything that has the word premium on Amazon, and you take the piss at me for it. But that one's lasted.
Trust me, they're all the same.
You owe me £10.
No, but if you catch anything sharp, hard, or anything like that, or put it down too heavily, heaven forbid you drop it, it will crack or it will explode or whatever, because it's just thin plastic with a lot of water in it.
Mm-hmm.
So that water bottle that I've got, which I can't show anyone right now, is heavy duty because it's technically a foam-filled, insulated thermos 1.9 litre drinking receptacle. But it feels more rugged, so I think if I drop that, it's not going to break. Or if it does, because it's got two walls, it's not going to leak
everywhere.
So this is my office bottle. Where was I
I'm glad we've clarified that. Yeah, where were you going?
But having a large receptacle like this, knowing it contains 2 litres, give or take, and if you're looking to try and get more water intake into your day,
3.5 litres a day.
So, and this is my argument for you. You obviously like to scan things, add things, track them or whatever. But like when that's on your desk, and it's full, it's like, cool, there's 2 litres there I've got to get to. So the way I see it is I look at that, I'll fill it. There's over 2 litres in there. And if I get to like 11 o'clock and it's like still nearly full, I'm like, shit, I'm falling behind on my daily intake. Because I've got a visual representation. It's there, it's within reach. I can see it and I can drink from it.
What's the point?
Why don't you just get a large bottle like that where you've got at least half or 2/3 of your daily intake and then drink it?
Let me explain. A couple of things.
This is where you throw it across the room. It is fragile.
Here's my thoughts. I 100% get this as a on-desk visual prompt to have more intake. My job tends to not mean I'm at a desk a lot of the day. To lug that about with me, I have zero interest in that. Because like you say, it's 2 kilos.
It would give you more reason to drink it quicker. Because the more you drink, the less it weighs.
Yeah. But I've got to fill it back up because I've got to drink 1.5 of these every day. So that's not a portable device, okay? Secondly, in terms of like the app thing, I like to know at the end of the week or the end of the month how many days I hit my goals, so then I can try and beat my own previous month's record. So like this month, I had like a 10,000 step challenge. Sorry. This year, I'm doing 10,000 steps a day. This month so far, I failed 1 day, which fucking annoys me. I got 9,625 steps. Completely forgot. Just assumed I'd done it. So I got into the house, it was like 9,500. I thought we'd walk around the house, still a few hours awake. It'll be fine. Fell asleep, checked the thing in the morning, absolutely heartbroken. But that little reminder and that little challenge for me gets me active. You've seen what I'll do to get my steps in. Like
I have. You were doing laps around a pool table while we were at the airport ahead of our flight.
So for an hour and a half, I was like jogging on the spot, looking like a moron, because I needed to get my steps up. The amount of times that we were out in Milwaukee and we got back to the Airbnb, and I just realised I've got to like run on the spot for 20 minutes. Like, it's not enjoyable, especially when there's colds gathering up, which pulls us back to see what I did there. The cold. So,
well, we actually brought it back to what we were talking about.
I've got all these like health things going on right now, so I'm trying to do more water intake. I'm trying to do more activity, and I know that I need like a way to track it in order for me to have any interest in continuing it. Like, I'm not the sort of person that can say I'm going to be healthier. If I don't track it or I don't put it in my calendar, it does not happen. Very aware of that now.
So my concern with that, and I agree that if you figured out that's how it makes you get it done, achieve whatever, great. The concern is that if you stop tracking, then you'll stop
potentially
drinking the water or eating right.
For me, I'm like, how long do I have to do this for it to become a habit where it's just like, it's just part of me? Nothing I've ever done has become a habit.
I feel like the process you're going through to make it a habit almost becomes the habit itself. So like,
but I'm okay with that.
It's like, if I don't track, then I won't do it.
Agree. But I'm okay with that. I don't see that as a negative.
But you've just said that you've not made anything stick.
No, I've not made anything stick that I haven't tracked stuff with.
Oh, sorry.
So like, all the stuff that I've tried to in the past, I'm just like, let's go to the gym 3 times a week.
You have tracked stuff and it's stuck as a habit.
While I've tracked it, yes. As soon as I stop tracking
that's what I'm saying. So it feels like though that the dilemma occurs.
The endorphin kick that I get and the thinking that I don't really give a shit about drinking water. I don't care. It's like a challenge to me now where I'm like, can I drink 3.5 litres of water a day? Can I hit this goal? And when I tick that off, I get this little kick. The benefits to me, I'm aware of, like I'll just feel better and healthier. But the truth of the matter is, I'm not really doing it for that. It'll be cool if it happens, but I've got like this little health challenge. The thing is for me, actually, start of the year was, can I be consistent across across the work, across personal, across family? Like, can I develop consistencies? So it's actually just like
What's really interesting is, and I don't think you've ever said this to me before, because it feels like news to me. This does, but what's really interesting, because I feel like we talk about all this stuff quite a lot off the mics as well. But I feel like we've just come to a realization that like it's purely the tracking and the data that you actually enjoy. It's not, but the fact that won't form a habit unless you don't track it is a bit of has the potential to be an issue, right? Because you can only track so much, because otherwise you've got a full-time data-driven job of filling in spreadsheets for your daily life. I want to become
wealthy enough, I can hire a data analyst for me.
Yeah, it's like you drink some water and they're like,
exactly. That's like a dream for me.
Like that, but that's a concern, because then that really means then that if you don't have the time to log something, you won't do
I won't do the thing.
The thing.
But a perfect example is like.
Whereas now I'm admittedly it comes from when I was younger anyway, so I naturally drank water over pop and stuff anyway. But I drink a lot of water all the time, and for me, that's why I was saying about the big bottles. Because for me, having a big bottle makes it easier to drink more. Because when you've got a 500ml bottle, you'll drink it and you'll finish it, but then the chance of you filling that up becomes a bit more of a chore, because you've then got to fill it.
Yeah, you've got to go and do
Whereas for you, the challenge is I've got to log it every time, and if you don't get to log it,
I have no interest.
Won't drink it. No, whereas if I've got to fill it, I won't drink it.
But I think at least, because I don't think I can change that about me, but at least knowing I need the gamification and the tracking.
Sorry, someone's cleaning the windows outside. I thought they were coming through.
I wonder why I looked so shocked. Jesus. I thought a pigeon had hit the window. But perfect example, we can put a pin in it and talk about it later. It's like I have no interest in doing the weight routines, the stuff that we used to do in the gym together, like 5 years ago in Birmingham, because I haven't got an efficient way of tracking what weight am I lifting, how many reps. Because I like to go back in and then see my improvement over time. Like the feeling of just being in the gym and getting healthier. I've generally, it's not enough motivation for me to do anything.
Yeah, it's not even that for everyone. Like a lot of people that go to the gym and enjoy it won't be doing it because they're getting healthy. They go to it because it makes them feel good after the fact, sort of thing. So,
but I guess my point is, the thing that I feel good about isn't in the gym, isn't after the gym,
isn't consuming the water.
It's literally looking at my data at the end of the week or the end of the month and saying, like, what's the heaviest I've benched this month? Obviously, I don't fucking bench anything, but like, how many days did I have a streak of like hit my steps or hit my water intake and stuff like that?
So would you say, and we've still not got to the
Dad Bod.
To the point of how you got a cold, but what do you think your capacity is then? Because obviously you've got to track all these things, right? Yeah. And there's things that you've stopped doing or you've started doing, I assume. What is your capacity? Because in theory, we can calculate exactly how many things you can do in a day, because of the amount of time it will take for you to log it. So, like, what capacity of new things can you do on a daily basis and track? And what have you stopped doing? Okay.
Let me give you an idea of what I'm doing this year. And I'm not adding or taking away from this. This is what I'm trying to achieve this year. So water intake.
All year.
Yeah, all year. Water intake. I have to manually log that in the Fitbit app. Sorry, MyFitnessPal, which pushes it into the Fitbit app. There's a lot of technology here that I use. It might be a bit boring to talk about, but I'm going to share it with you anyway. So log my water intake with MyFitnessPal because it pushes it into Fitbit. I wear a Fitbit and a watch. Had an Apple Watch, didn't like the notifications element of it. I've got a watch that I want to wear. Got a Fitbit which does two things. It tracks my steps and it tracks my sleep. So all of a sudden I've got those two things being tracked automatically for me, and I have to track the water myself. On top of that, I've got a running challenge with 40, which is not going well for me right now.
It's more of a challenge of how quick you can be on crutches.
My knee is just blown out, man. It was hurting this morning for no reason. It's like getting out of bed. It's like, anyway, that's another day. But my knee's blown out. But I'm meant to be doing a running challenge. For every 2 miles he runs, I run a mile. And to track that, I use Strava, which means walk out the door, press start, go on a run, if that's what I can call it, a fast-paced walk, and then press stop and it logs my run. So that's it, really. So it's relatively easy. Sorry, I'm watching my intake on food outside of Milwaukee because that whole week was just an absolute write-off. Like, I was trying my hardest. I did it for 2 days to log the food, but it was just ridiculous. So while I'm in the UK...
yeah, I mean, what do you search for when it's a slab of pork chop?
Exactly, yeah. Carson's pork chop, but it doesn't come up. So when I'm in the UK, I'm also tracking my food. And I guess the whole just to tie this in,
bring it back to where we were going with this. How did you get a cold?
I'm gonna fucking put a stop to that one. I got a cold because I was in -7 degrees weather and probably lack of sleep.
No, you got a cold because you left the window open in your room at the Airbnb overnight and woke up in the morning with a cold.
Yeah, that is actually true. But it was hot.
Because it was -7 outside, and then obviously the house was warm, and then you let the flu in. Grim. I'll mute that for the audience.
Thank you. Well, it just went silent because I was just coughing. You probably saw it on the YouTube channel. So that's just a temperature thing. That's a sleep thing.
Yeah. So it's just to bring this back to the topic of the show. We're only 24 minutes in, but to get on to today's topic. No, but you were talking about it. You've always struggled with health.
Yes,
I would say, and that's for many reasons because you're trying to run a business and don't necessarily primarily focus.
There's a lot of bullshit reasons that I have. 100%.
Yeah, but I think if you look at what you prioritize on a weekly basis,
it's genuinely a choice.
Food, sleep, water intake, general health, well-being, whatever, is very low on your list of things that you actually consider.
Like, in 2019.
Because I would say that you'd rather go without a meal and finish your inbox of emails.
That's just obvious.
but like for most people, it's like, well, I'm not gonna. I need to eat something.
You tell me I can get to inbox 0 on this lunch, mate. It's a fucking no-brainer.
Yeah. Whereas most people would put even if they're not eating healthy or if they are whatever, like most people would think, no, I need to eat something, otherwise I'm not going to function properly. So I do think that there's an inherent issue with the approach that you take for eating food and not prioritizing it because all these things, because I said to you in the car, for anyone that's watching, you'll have seen a time lapse of us eating a McDonald's for breakfast. But you have a cold and the solution is to just throw loads of pills at it, so like cold and flu relief, things like that, which for most people
I rattled while I was in Milwaukee.
Yeah, whereas like, but if you've not, and like you've even
Dirty Sprite was the tagline of the week.
But so it's just hard to explain, but it's like if I'm not feeling well, I would basically try and drown myself in water, just try and really hydrate and try and just eat as much as I can, so I'm not like not junk necessarily, just make sure I'm like filling my boots with like meals and just feed and stay fed, so like while I'm ill I'm also not starving and I'm also not dehydrated and everything like that, because I'm aware of how I feel when I've not had water. And that's what I was saying before, when I've got that water bottle on the table and I see that I've only drank like a couple of inches off the top, so that's only that's like a glass of water that I've had since I got in the office from 9 o'clock and it's now midday. So then I'll just chug a litre of it because I can feel myself like slow down and my brain hurts and I feel dehydrated. I can't imagine how you feel on a daily basis if all you have is
that's how you feel,
codeine and H2O
and a bit of Sprite. That's how you feel, but because I don't have that baseline of like what health feels like and then the negative side, I kind of have an acceptance level now of like, oh, this is just how Adam Callow feels, which is not what I want, which is why the recent changes, and that's literally came from like the coaching of this. I went to speak about business. We spoke about family and health for like 2 months, £150 an hour, Fucking hell.
I can speak to you about that for 150 quid now.
So that's sort of like for some of the changes for me right now, and it's sort of like how he thinks about it was like it's the basics you need to get right to sort of layer the other stuff on top.
I think, and not to like, I don't want to sound preachy, because the whole point I wanted to talk about this today is because I'm feeling sort of the negative side of things as well at the moment. But like, for you're saying you have a baseline that you don't know what healthy feels like, almost like most people don't, because you just assume that the way you feel is the way you feel, like you're normal. Like I remember back before I was ever getting into shape and things like that you don't feel bad at all, because you're just so used to what you do. You eat kind of junk food, you go from one meal to another, you go up and down, blood sugar levels, stuff like that. It's only when you actually do get on like a clean eating kind of lifestyle and actually become more aware of how you feel that you notice when you eat shit, for example. And that's why I know when I'm dehydrated now, because I know what feeling hydrated feels like, and then not having a drink. Like if you feel thirsty, you've gone way too far. You shouldn't feel thirsty ever, because it takes like a bit of time.
I feel like a prune all the time.
Yeah, and that is horrible. But yeah, so for me, again, why I want to talk about it at the moment is because obviously the boy.
What does Dad Bod mean to you, by the way?
Just like out of shape and fat.
Just like.
So like for me, and it's not even because of Elliot. It's just like work and life, the excuse got in the way. And at the moment, the challenge I'm trying to figure out is, for example, by the time I'm leaving work, I've got a choice to make. It's like I can go home now and see the family for 2 hours before the boy goes to bed, or whatever it might be. Or I can go to the gym, which by the time I get to the gym, spend an hour in there, and then travel home, that's kind of an hour and a half, maybe even up to 2 hours of my evening taken up by that, which I would love. But then it's like that either or, because I also need to make sure I'm getting some sleep, because I know that if I don't get a good night's sleep, it's just a constant knock-on effect at work the next day, and then it's just this cycle. So at the moment, since like August, September, maybe.
Wow.
Like that's when gym just started going out, and then I think I went to the gym twice in October when Elliot was born, and I've not been since.
You haven't been to the gym in November,
no.
December, or January?
No. So 60 quid for a membership. So like I didn't
realise that you went. Oh wow.
So I've not just not been going. So like I've been feeling shit about that, and then obviously, and I don't really eat too badly in general, but it feels like a compounding effect of when you're not exercising, you're kind of a little bit more inclined to just say yes to probably bad decisions and stuff. Hence the McDonald's this morning.
Yeah, you would like fod like a cheap deck chair.
So yeah.
So what are you doing now to try and like change that? Because
so
I've lived Dad Bod for 6 years now.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. But so the biggest challenge, which I've not solved yet, is the gym. Because I really enjoy going to the gym, and that's what I was saying to you about when people go to the gym. I don't go to the gym to get healthy and feel fitter. I go to the gym because I enjoy it. Obviously, I probably started the gym with those intentions, but once you build the habit, not about the tracking, but it's about how you go enough times that you feel good.
My habit is the tracking.
But you see the changes and things like that, and that's when you get hooked. And then from there, it's like, cool, I want to go to the gym because it makes me feel good, I look good, and all this. So I've not fixed that one yet. But my first steps have been, and I've been a big fan of it, is MyFitnessPal. Which I know because you've been tracking your food and that, and I was like, I need to get back on that. So I started with just like breakfast, just because it's the only thing that was consistent in my life at that point in time. And then I'm slowly trying to just track everything more consistently. So track lunch, actually having lunches again now. So yeah, so for me,
so is that like your first step to just become more like aware?
Yeah, and I think
you made a comment to me while we were in Milwaukee, which was interesting. So normally you sass me for shit that I do.
I was like, go for 2 pork chops, mate. They're fucking brilliant.
One of each.
It's raw in the middle. Fuck it, I'll eat it.
Oh, Milwaukee. But because I was doing these 10,000 steps, and I was completely prepared for you to just like take the piss out of me in terms of like, why are you doing this thing running on the spot? You're an idiot. But you said like having that as like a constant nudge of activity, you're like, that kind of makes sense. Like,
yeah, and you're crushing it compared to me right now on activity. So again, I back in the day I actually had a Fitbit, but at the time it was when I was in peak condition. Them were the days when didn't have a wife, just a girlfriend that didn't live with me at the time, and all that. I was in the best shape of my life.
For me, that was 13 years ago. I was 17.
But I had a Fitbit, and at the time it felt redundant because I'm like, why do I need? And I had a job where I was on my feet all day, walking around a lot as well. So I would smash like 23,000 steps easy every day. But at the time, I was looking, I'm hitting my step goal of 15k before lunchtime, sort of thing. And like, I don't need to know that I don't need a constant reminder to be active because I'm going to the gym 6 days a week.
Yeah.
So for me at the time, it was redundant. Now, being on the other side of it, seeing you with the Fitbit, like I get that because especially people with desk jobs, is. And I think you said to me you did like 1,500 steps in a day.
Yeah, I can literally true story,
rolling out.
And that's basically like that includes like a walk to co-op. So like I could get out. I could literally, and it's happened. I could get out of bed, be around the house, make a coffee, get into work, do the day job, go back home, spend some time with it. I could do sub 1,200 steps in a day, which is scary. Like there's no movement there.
But and that's the crazy thing is that like most people will do 1,500 steps, so nothing. And then what do you do when you go home to relax? You go and sit down on the sofa.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but this like forced some good habits for me, which like when I get back, I walk the dog. And to be honest, like I know a good dog owner should walk the dog, but I was doing it to get my steps up. And I know you sassed me about my dog. It's
hey,
like
if you need things tracking.
The Fitbit gets the dog walked.
You're like, I don't think this lead's shaking enough to count.
Here's a question. So we're looking at something now for me and Sarah, and we briefly spoke about it, like private healthcare.
Yeah.
One part of that is you can get an Apple Watch. You can get an Apple Watch, I think it's for £100 instead of 400.
Wow.
And then as long as you stay active, it's free, basically.
Sign me up.
Yeah, as long as you
sign me up.
So basically,
stop the show. What's the website?
It's basically the private healthcare we're looking for the business. That package.
I want it.
And if you don't,
I'll get an Apple Watch.
If you don't do it, you end up paying. If you don't do it, it's interest free over 3 years. If you don't hit your activity goals, but you would hit your activity goal.
so
it's £7.50 a month or something like that. But if you hit your activity goal, it's free. Because what they're trying to do is set you in good habit. One sec.
Sorry.
They're trying to set you in good habits, health-wise, because they're looking on the macro scale of that policy. If you stay healthier, they won't have to pay out. Yeah. So it's a really solid investment for them.
So how'd you pay for that then? Is that
so take policy out?
So it's £100 for the Apple Watch.
Yep.
And then
they have a direct debit basically, or a standing order, whatever is set up, that if you don't hit your points the following month, you'll get £7.50 debited.
On top of your monthly fee?
Yeah, on top of your
your
health, your £20 for your healthcare.
You'd get a bill for £27 because
exactly
you didn't hit your number.
Yeah.
What's the achievability of that?
Yeah, quite cool. I could do it if I applied myself.
I guess my question is, what are they considering active?
You'll have to look at the details.
Okay.
You'll have to look at the details.
Okay.
Like it basically tells you everything, and little other perks as well. Is like when you hit certain goals, you can get like a free coffee every week from Starbucks. Like it's going to pay for itself for me.
Wow.
Yeah, it's cool. So yeah,
sign me up for that.
What's your general?
That'd be cool.
I guess for me, the reason I mentioned that is I've just become like very aware of my health. Sort of Q4 last year, trying to make the positive steps now, and one of those things is one of the reasons I don't go to the doctors and stuff is because it's a fucking faff. But I know, like for my knee right now, I desperately need to see a doctor. Like it's probably one of the worst pains I've had ever.
And this is all again. the whole, not just dad bod, because I think like dad bod just implies like a physique that people get when they hit the mid-30s, 40s, whatever.
For me.
But for me, it probably represents more the lack of attention that I'm spending on my personal health and well-being. So like, for example, injury is usually due to like poor form, lack of flexibility, things like that. So like if you pull a muscle all the time in your back, chances are it's because there's something like, there's a weakness somewhere else on the body, for example. So like if you're always pulling your lower back, it might be because you've got a lack of flexibility in your hamstrings or something. So what's happening is because you can't pivot at the hips, your lower back's having to take all the strain, and it can't because it's not that flexible. So I've noticed that things are getting tighter for me, and I'm not pulling muscles or anything at the moment because I still try and stay relatively flexible, just like do some stretching and stuff. But I'm aware of like sometimes I'm waking up in the morning feeling stiff and achy and things like that. It's like I'm just feeling really like shit. Whereas like you go to the gym and you'll feel sore, but because I somewhat know what I'm doing to sort of prevent injury and things like that, I usually tend to feel a lot better because I keep my flexibility up and mobility and things like that. So for me at the moment, I'm feeling just a decline in general health.
It was so it's interesting to know like some of the steps that we're taking to sort of change some stuff and how we're both thinking about it. When you were just talking, one thing that came, I watched a guy talk at St Andrew's Park, St George's Park, which is where like the England team used to train or still train. I don't know, it's football that goes straight over my head. But there was a good like conference there from a manufacturer that I was working with, and there was their leading sports and nutrition guy on stage talking about stuff.
Yeah.
And he basically said, imagine like you've got 3 balls that you're juggling all the time. Like you've got your health, you've got your career, and you've got your relationships. He says 2 of those balls are made of rubber and 1 is made of glass. This is how he's trying to get the message across. He says like your career and good relationships, if you drop the ball on them, they will bounce back. So if like me and you, I moved away to Australia, I came back to the UK 5 years later, we'd pick things back up, like it would be fine. Like your career, if you miss a target, you can then go back and try again. He says your health is like this glass ball. Like once you drop it and it smashes, you're fucked. He says, and what normal people do is they wait to the point where it nearly hits the floor, then catch it and then bring it back up. It doesn't get any better, but it brings it back up to like the baseline. Like for me, it would be bring it back up to feeling like I do today. I tend to wait until it's just about to smash and then go, shit, I need to change stuff because this is getting bad. And like his message was like, you need to not do that. You need to make sure
prevention rather than a cure, essentially. Is saying, yeah.
And I guess when I completely forgot about that whole thing until you just talking. I don't know what brought it back to my head.
Because you stopped listening to me.
Just fucking went off.
What can I think about?
Yeah, what happened in the last 10 years is more interesting. But as he was talking about it, kind of like as I just remembered it, and I was like, cool, that is what I do.
Yeah,
100% what I do. Big time. I wait for it like to go wrong, a crack up here, and then try and bring it back with some crazy shit. Let's track everything. Let's do this. I now genuinely feel like from a not just a health but from a work, the health thing for me is actually less about health for this year. It's just about setting a goal and dedicating time to be consistent to it. Like I want to do 5 million steps this year. That's my challenge because it's a big macro.
What does that look like on a daily basis? Sorry, is that 10,000?
No, it's sort of like 16,000 on average across a day. Because what my other thing was to do some running, so my running should top it up. So, but that's obviously not gone to plan with the day. But I think for me, it's the way that I'm tackling Dad Bod as the topic is not trying to set some bigger goals, understanding what motivates me, and then just tracking against it, and not sort of trying to wait for that point where I go. It's that whole thing where like you're driving down a motorway and you're speeding, cop car goes past you, or like on my brother's stag do, I overtake the cop car and speed past him. That got the wrong speed in the area, but cop car goes past you after you've been speeding, or the light's gone behind you, and you think he's about to pull you and he doesn't. You then start driving at the proper speed for a period, But 2 minutes later, you're doing 90 and a 70 again.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to avoid. Is I think it's so easy to sort of get back into like the new year, best intention, set some unrealistic goals. I nearly gave up on the whole Fitbit thing after I missed that day. So after I went to 9,625, my whole year goal, I nearly went, I fucked it. I haven't done it every day. And I nearly just took the Fitbit off and I was done. And then Sarah was like, don't be an idiot. Like, it's the intent.
Yeah, why would that throw you?
Just how my head works.
That goes against everything you preach at work.
100%, I know. But that's why I was like, okay, cool, yeah. This is not about getting it perfect. This is about making the right intent.
Yeah.
Like trying, like the commitment to do it, fine.
So,
that's my 2 cents.
So on that note, and we'll wrap it up because we've been running on a little bit. It just reminded me that, like on a case of intent. Mm-hmm. So there's a book, and I don't think I mentioned on here. It was on another podcast, but there's a book by, I think the guy's called Ross Edgley, the world's fittest book. You'll find it on Amazon. I'll put a link in the show notes and whatever, so you can find it. But that is essentially, so this guy is like on a quest to, I don't know, be the fittest person on the planet, but he just tries different different principles and theories for fitness, strength training, resistance training, all these different things, and does ridiculous challenges like runs a marathon with a 100-kilo log on his back sort of thing, all this crazy stuff. And like he's looking at all these principles and saying like, how is it possible to do this? And looks at like techniques that people suggest and things like that. And one of the principles is obviously like, if you need to train for a marathon with a log on your back, you need to practice with a log on your back for a marathon, because you can't ride a bike for 1,000 kilometers and then think that you're good enough to run a marathon, because they're two different things. So like, you got to train for the right thing. But one of the main things that he kind of talks about is, especially for people that are not athletes at peak performance and things like that, like anything's better than nothing. So the fact that you're not hitting your 10,000 steps, but the fact that you're just actually trying to get more active. The same with like when people think that they want to go to the gym, they think, oh, I need this routine, I need to do that and the other, I need to do it in a certain way and things like that. He's just learned, or he suggests that for most untrained people or moderately trained people, that just the activity of doing any actions, like if you're a complete novice, for example, you can go into a gym and just throw weights around like an absolute lunatic, and you'll probably still see some benefits, because you're going from nothing to anything. And it's kind of, I think the big takeaway for any of it is anything is better than nothing. So like, that's for me, I've literally done nothing at the moment, but I just really enjoy the gym. But I need to just get, even if it's just something at home, I need to start doing more of. But yeah, I think if anyone is kind of feeling the same way, just starting like you do with your Fitbit and stuff like that is just a really good way to at least get the ball rolling. Because you'll probably find as well that when you start getting a bit more active, you start feeling a little bit better. It starts you on like
it should compound
a
over
roll
time.
of like,
Yeah,
I'm actually really enjoying making sure I don't go above 2,500 calories a day. I'm actually really enjoying the fact that I'm fitting in a new pair of jeans now. And then all of a sudden you're like, maybe I can get more food for less calories. Maybe I can actually go for more walks with the dog. Maybe I can get a gym. Like, you start on this
but your point,
rhythm.
Your point just was super on point for me, which is I tend to over process something before I start it.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And that just led to absolute procrastination. So I would try and develop a perfect process, perfect calendar, perfect routines, have everything mapped out so I could follow it. But then because I've spent so long on the process, and I'm like, it's binary now. This is what I've got to do. Yeah, but I'm like, this is binary. It's like, this is the plan. As soon as it doesn't go to plan, I'm like, it's all fucked. Yeah. But your point is, like, 1 is greater than 0. Like, do something. Yeah. And then move on, which is what I think we're both trying to do now. It'll be interesting to sort of touch base on this, because probably in like every quarter, I'd like to do like a general health checkup on the show. I can bring some stats.
Yeah, and I've also...
I will bring some spreadsheets on my data analyst.
Again, just down to time, and literally talking about just starting something. That's why we obviously do the podcast on YouTube as well. I want to do more on the channel. It's just fucking time. But I would like, if I had the time and if I make the time, I would like to do like a defeating Dad Bod series as well, just like tracking that. If I have the time, that's a big old if, but I would like to do that. It's just finding the time. But if I get an Apple Watch with some private healthcare, then could be onto a winner, guys. Subscribe to stay up to date.
And while you talk about YouTube, don't forget, guys, if you are listening to this podcast on your podcatcher of choice, this is one of our shows, or the only show that you can go and consistently watch on YouTube.
Keyword be consistent.
All you need to do is head over to YouTube and search Dad Knows Best, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget there's a little bell icon on there, which means you'll get notified when new shows go live. And how's from you, H?
No, considering you always knock me for the CTAs at the end, I really appreciate you giving me the support now, as opposed to phone up and being like, here we fucking go again.
I'm on it, man. I'm on it.
No, that's it for me, guys. If you've got any advice...
I'm doing so well.
as Adam breaks the mic stand. If you've got any advice, like or challenges that you've faced that you've figured out how to overcome, or anything like that, email dadknowsbest@nbs.fm. Can you tell we've been away from the mics for like over a week?
But just to lean in something that Stephen Mayer, listener of all the shows that we do, pointed out, we used to have an email address that had 2 T's in the middle and 1 S at the end, and that was memorable, so we got lots more emails. Don't forget, guys, the email is dadknowsbest@nbs, which stands for no bullshit. This is a no bullshit podcast network. We try and have real conversations, so it's dadknowsbest@nbs.fm.
I wonder if it's the .fm that throws people off. They're like mbs.com, because surely that's how an email works.
And they just think we're stuttering every time. We're more professional than that. No bullshit. .fm, as in FM transmitter radio. That's what that.
What's FM stand for?
See you later, guys.